Okay, let's talk about what you're going to be using to sew with. In the pattern, I call for embroidery floss. I like sewing with embroidery floss or making the dolls with the embroidery floss just because it makes it easier on myself. I like using DMC. Cheaper embroidery flosses may be kind of okay to work with, but this is mercerized cotton. It's polished to a higher degree. It's nicer to sew with. And if you're watching this video, you probably already know a little bit about floss. Here's some floss that I've got on a little card with its little number. This is the color for cinnamon, one of the colors that I use for the kitties. And when you look at it a little closer, you can see that it's got the little separate strands. Now, in many of the instructions that I give, you are going to be using 2 strands or 3 strands of embroidery floss. Now, to separate the embroidery floss out, if you want a single strand, because I will either use a single strand as a single strand or I'll double it up. What you have to do, and this is the easiest way to do it, I find one thread and I'm holding kind of tightly here, and then I slowly start pulling. And you'll see everything's kind of bunching up underneath because the embroidery floss has been kind of twisted in the manufacturing process. So now you have a single thread, but you can thread it on a needle and use it as 2 strands. So when I'm calling for 2 strands, you can get a pretty long one out and just double it up. It's a little bit more complicated when you're attempting to pull out just 2 strands or 3 strands. Once you pull out that first strand and it kind of unclenches a little bit, untwists a little bit, it's much more easy to separate.